Welcome back. This is The Sit Down, and I'm here with Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon. Guy's been in the news quite a bit lately, and also one of two senators to endorse Bernie Sanders for president, the other being Bernie Sanders. And I actually wanted to start with a photo I just showed you, which is just a couple of minutes ago. Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, their aides, sat down at this long table in Helsinki under chandeliers. What did you make of that image? What's your reaction to that image?
Well, I'm thinking about the fact that they should be talking about the Russian invasion of Crimea, the occupation of Ukraine, the attack on individuals with chemical agents in England, the Russian obliteration of civilian towns in Syria, the Russian manipulation, engagement in our U.S. elections. Those are the things they should be talking about, and I doubt those get mentioned at all.
What did you make of the look on Vladimir Putin's face?
Well, I think he looked pretty happy. Not smiling happy, stern like he's in control. This is his show. He's in charge, and he's getting everything he wants out of the American president.
Now, what do you make of Donald Trump's persistent, I guess, among other things, refusal to criticize Vladimir Putin? I mean, do you think Vladimir Putin has something on him?
I think it's likely. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, it's a standard strategy of Russia when people visit there who are important to try to get compromising information on them, to set them up with hookers, to tape everything that goes on in their room. So it's likely that they have that. There are many members of Trump's team that had different types of communication with Russia that are probably uncomfortable, and we may find out from Mueller far beyond uncomfortable. And Trump clearly wants to convey that there's absolutely nothing there. But if there's absolutely nothing there, then why are so many people under indictment? How come a number of people have pled guilty? Why is there so much information about so many contacts with his campaign? Trump wants there to be one world, his fantasy world that he repeats 1,000 times over, but it's not the real world.
But so just to put this in the terms that Twitter can relate to, your view is that the P-tape is real? Something
close to that. Something close to that.
All right. Without getting into any further detail on that one, you also think that is that a reason for you that Brett Kavanaugh should not be confirmed to the Supreme Court?
Well, there's so many reasons Kavanaugh shouldn't be confirmed. Let's start with the fact that the president said he'll only nominate somebody who will strike down Roe v. Wade, which would be a huge assault on the rights of women across America, that he'd only nominate somebody who would strike down health care, the ACA, which in my state, 400,000 people gained access to health care through the Affordable Care Act. And the fact that they're insured means there's more money in the clinics and the hospitals for everyone else, so everyone benefits. And then we come to the fact that he chose off that list the individual who has the most expansive vision of presidential power, one appropriate for a kingdom and a king, but not a democratic republic and a president.
Now, we published a story over the weekend, Dick Durbin, some of your other colleagues saying, we'd love to stop this, but Democratic activists imagine we actually can stop this thing, and we can't. Is that the truth? Are you going to wind up kind of basically letting your base down here?
Well, 51 individuals can stop it. And that's what we're aiming for. We're going to make sure we spend all the time necessary to get the information under the Kagan rule. That is, the Republicans said when Kagan was part of an executive branch, they needed to have every memo she'd ever written. We want every memo that Kavanaugh has written. And he wrote a lot. We want to find out exactly what he did inside the Starr investigation. Was he the person who was leaking information out of the grand jury, of the grand jury testimony? We'll find out. What else will we learn? But out of that will come a conversation about the vision of the Constitution, the we the people vision, the fact that he opposes that vision, that he's part of a group that comes out of the Federalist Society that wants to stand our Constitution on its head, change it from a structure of government that produces laws reflecting the will of the people into a structure of government that produces laws that are by and for the powerful and the privileged. And that alone should be enough to get 51 votes to end this nomination.
Now, I wonder if what you're saying, the tradition for a long time was more or less that the president gets the Supreme Court justices that he wants, particularly, you guys lost the Senate, you lost the House, your party doesn't control the government. But Barack Obama didn't get the didn't get the Supreme Court justice he wanted, and now I think you're saying that Trump shouldn't. And I wonder if you worry that the whole kind of constitutional order is falling apart here, that these underlying structures are starting to get really shaky.
Well, the underlying tradition was that a president would get a nominee confirmed if that nominee had bipartisan support, at least 60 plus votes in the Senate. And that was violated by the Republicans when they refused to give a hearing and a vote, debate to Obama's nominee. And it's violated again when they confirmed Neil Kavanaugh by changing the rules of the Senate. And it's being violated again, so this is like the third time violation by the Republicans of the core principle that existed before. And all of this being driven by those who are the most wealthy and well-connected in America in a multi-decade strategy to convert our Constitution into something that it was not supposed to be. That is a document that enables those at the top to continue to squeeze the rest of America for their own benefit.
To switch to politics, as I said, you supported Sanders in 2016, and I wonder, sort of looking at the political landscape right now, I think a lot of people have been pretty amazed to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez emerge, and the contrast between Sanders, who is would be entering, I guess, his 80s as president, and a kind of young, dynamic, attractive figure such as yourself. I mean, do you think that it's appropriate for Sanders to run, or that somebody of your generation or a generation below ought to be the nominee?
I think whoever wants to run, it's appropriate for them to run. That's the freedom in our society. Somebody who's impassioned about the need to put America back on track and has ideas for how it's to be done, for them to be able to go out and test those ideas in the public forum. That's what America's all about.
Have you talked to Sanders about your own decision whether or not to run?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. And one final question from Twitter. Tom Angel tweeted at us that just ask how you felt about Pat Leahy and others blocking your attempts to make it easier to do marijuana business in Oregon, to bank in particular.
Well, I was disappointed. We had passed this twice before, and the argument that was put forward by the chair and the ranking member was because it hadn't made it to the Oval Office, it was an existing policy, and therefore it was a new policy, and they were working hard to restore the appropriations process. So you might have noticed we got every single bill done in appropriations. We've already gotten one minibus through the Senate. So the appropriations process on the Senate side is much healthier. They had a fair point to make on the policy front. But here's the thing. Normally, we could take these policy bills like Audit is putting forward, that we need to establish banking for cannabis because a cash economy is an invitation to money laundering and theft and cheating your employees and cheating on your taxes, organized crime, all bad. Normally, you could put it on the floor of the Senate as an amendment to something. In 2017, outside of the budget process, not a single amendment was considered on the floor of the Senate. Something that's been completely missed by the press. This is the end of the Senate as really a deliberative body on policy. So if you're blocked in the Appropriations Committee and you're blocked on the floor, then it's very hard to put ideas out there and say, hey, vote on this. This matters. This matters, and so I'm
paying cash for weed in Oregon, for now.
It's cash. I accompanied the owner of a company who had $70,000 in his backpack to pay his quarterly taxes, and it's so bizarre going down the freeway and talking about how they have to pay their employees in cash, how they pay their suppliers in cash, and it's a bad system. Everyone should agree. States' rights on this. Let the states have an electronic system to track what these businesses are doing, not billions of dollars floating around like this.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Senator.
Oh,
we really appreciate your coming in.
Welcome.
Thanks.